It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet!
The NBA season is coming to a close. Welcome to another episode of Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, joined of course by David Bernardi, the Nard Dogg. How's it going, brother?
It's going absolutely great, Goulet.
Excellent. Now, I understand that we have a lot to talk about on this episode, but we want to start things off on a more serious note. You had mentioned something to me before we got into the booth to record this.
Yeah, I'd like to dedicate this episode to my grandfather, Thomas Malchiotti. He passed away last week. It's really tough, but here we are.
Well, we're very sorry to hear that, Nard Dogg, and yes, this episode dedicated to your grandfather, and I'm sure he was an awesome fella.
He's the nicest guy ever.
Well, you just think of all the good times, and let's give him one heck of an episode.
Yes, we shall.
Let's do it. All right, so getting into it, I want to talk about, as I said, more serious topics. Craig Sager, legendary sideline announcer, one of the most famous voices of basketball. Probably recognize the name, but if you don't, you'll recognize the voice. Of course, he is battling...
And the suits.
And the suits, yeah, you can't forget Craig's suits. He is battling leukemia. Now, late last month, in late March, it was announced that his leukemia had returned, and it was also announced that doctors had told him that he had about 3 to 6 months to live without treatment. Now, it's a scary situation. I don't know, any thoughts about Craig Sager, any well wishes, Nard Dogg?
It's really tough. He's the best reporter in sports, in my opinion. And I've been watching basketball for over 20 years, and he's always been around. And it's really tough to see this happen to him.
Yeah, we could really only wish him the best and keep our fingers crossed that everything works out for him. Unfortunately, it is looking grim, but just positive vibes towards Craig Sager. Because as you said, one of the, if not like the best basketball voice out there, one of the best basketball minds, and a huge, big time legend in the game of basketball.
Maybe the best interviewer out there.
Definitely the best suits in the game of basketball.
Oh yeah, those colorful suits. The other day, Rod Black of TSN reporting the Raptors game, he paid tribute to, actually the whole NBA paid tribute to Sager. This whole week, actually, they're paying tribute by wearing those kind of fancy suits.
It's really nice to see that because it's just another example of how strong the basketball family is. It really is a family he's Craig Sager. He's not a player on a team he's a sideline reporter, but he's just as much a part of the basketball family as like someone like LeBron James or Steph Curry. He's just part of that family, and it's nice to see that so many people have come out to pay tribute to him and to support him. And we see something like that with Jerry Sloan. That's another name I want to bring up. Jerry Sloan, former coach of the Utah Jazz. He's got the 3rd most wins in NBA history. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's actually suffering from Parkinson's disease and a form of dementia. It's very sad. Very sad times in the world of basketball. It's tough to see these legendary figures being taken down by these illnesses.
And upsetting, like I said, I've been watching for 20 years. So when I started watching basketball, Jerry Sloan was the coach of the Utah Jazz, the team that went back-to-back to the finals against the Chicago Bulls. And he coached the Jazz for 20 years, and I don't believe they had a losing record that whole time.
Jerry Sloan was a very important part of the Utah Jazz history and helped put them on the map. And you look at some of the players that he helped shape, John Stockton and Karl Malone, 2 of the best basketball players of all time.
Probably the best 1-2 punch when it comes to point guard and big man ever.
Yep. Yep. I am. That's a lot of people would agree with you on that. That's a fair statement to make. But just wishing all the best towards Craig Sager and Jerry Sloan in this really tough time.
Two all-time greats.
Two all-time greats. Now we do have to move on to much happier thoughts and end of the NBA season. I know that doesn't seem like a happy thought, but that means the playoffs are soon upon us. Now I want to talk about, of course, the Golden State Warriors and the best shooter in the world today, Steph Curry. Now,
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on this. I still think LeBron James is the best basketball player on the planet.
All around.
All around. But some people do say that Steph. Do you think Steph Curry could take LeBron 1-on-1, or do you think LeBron would win that 1-on-1 battle?
I'd go with LeBron.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't know, just all overall game, LeBron's got it all. Steph Curry is a really good passer, and he is a phenomenal shooter. It seems like he can't miss, and some of the shots he hits are just unbelievable. Do you think and now looking towards the end of the season, do you think the Golden State Warriors are going to do it? Do you think they're going to have a new all-time record?
Well, let's see. Right now they're 69-9. They recently lost to the T-Wolves at home.
Mm-hmm.
And
they also lost to the Boston Celtics not too long ago, so it seems like there are some cracks there.
So right now they play San Antonio, and then they say they win that game. They'll be 70-9, and then they also have San Antonio again in San Antonio on Sunday. And Popovich has already said that he's going to play all his starters, his full roster.
Of course.
And the Spurs are currently 37-0 at home to start a season. That's an NBA record.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I know they're facing the Spurs, but the Golden State Warriors to end off the season, they're also facing the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, not necessarily a great team, but the Grizzlies, they aren't anything to sneeze at.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'd say Warriors.
So do you think
Warriors? It's all about Sunday.
So a hard yes or no. Do you think the Golden State Warriors are going to beat that 72 that record that the Bulls set?
I think they tie it.
You think they tie it?
72-10.
Which would be impressive in itself if they were able to tie it. Because depends.
It's not just about the season; it's about the playoffs.
It is about the playoffs.
It's all about the playoffs.
Exactly. So now
it means absolutely nothing if they don't win the championship.
Now looking towards the playoffs, this is something I was thinking about before we started this episode. I have 4 teams that I think are going to be a part of the NBA Finals picture. And this all depends if the Raptors get past the first round, if they could make it over that hurdle, which has been a struggle the past, all the times that they've been to the playoffs in the past, 4 or 5 years. I'm thinking Eastern Conference, it's Raptors versus Cavaliers. Western Conference Finals, it's San Antonio versus Golden State. And I'm not just saying that because they're the first place and second teams in their respective conferences. Saying that because I don't think there's going to be any major upsets. I don't think any 4th or 3rd place teams are going to dethrone the other teams. I think the Raptors are going to get past the first round this year, and I think they can go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And a lot of people are predicting that the Raptors actually will make it to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Popovich. Apparently, in the game last Saturday, Popovich, people were wording it that when after the game, he was telling Coach Casey that the Raptors will make it to the finals.
High praise from one of the greatest coaches in basketball history, Greg Popovich.
It's not going to be easy for the Raptors.
Nope.
Right now, it's looking like they'll play the Pacers, and they're a tough team. They're not a walkover.
No, and you look at the Raptors' past performances in the playoffs in the past few years, struggled. We don't even want to talk about last year's playoffs. That was just garbage. They got swept by the Washington Wizards. Now, sure,
Yeah.
the Wizards were a good team, but the Raptors could have beaten them. They should have beaten them, at least gotten one win. They shouldn't have been swept.
Now, what I'm concerned about is, yes, Raptors, they win the first round. Beat Pacers or Pistons, whoever it is. They could potentially play the Miami Heat. I don't know about that. That's going to be...
You're worried about the Raptors?
Especially if Bosch is healthy and playing.
Yeah, it's true.
Joe Johnson, Whiteside, it'd be incredibly tough to make that conference finals.
Mm-hmm. The Raptors, a lot of people are saying they're going to the NBA Finals. The Raptors have a long road ahead of them. They've got a tough fight ahead of them to make it there.
The East, as everyone knows, has drastically improved this season.
Yep.
They're better than the West. That's saying a lot.
Which is, that sounds unbelievable, because you look in the past 10 years or so, the Western Conference has always been the dominant conference, but now the East has just taken things over.
There's Boston Celtics. The things that Brad Stevens has done to that team to improve them.
Fantastic.
They're another tough team you don't want to face.
Exactly. So I don't think I'm not calling the Raptors, I don't think it's a guarantee that the Raptors are going to the NBA Finals. But do you agree with me? Like, if you had to give a concrete answer, do you agree with me in those being the final four teams? So the Golden State Warriors versus San Antonio Spurs in the West Finals, and Raptors Cavaliers in the East Finals. Do you think the Cavaliers, Warriors, and Spurs are the only guarantees there, and the Raptors may not make it to the conference finals?
Here's another thing about the Cavaliers. They could potentially play the Pistons first round, and they struggle against the Pistons. That could be a huge upset. It probably won't happen, but it would be huge. And it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the NBA. Nothing is really out of the realm of possibility. The Golden State Warriors, as good as they are, could somehow be defeated in the first round, because once the playoffs start, it's a brand new season.
Here's another thing about the Warriors. Yes, they're winning all these games. They're putting so much effort into these wins. What if they run out of gas?
And we've seen them get tired, because in the past little bit, they've had a couple of losses. Like, they've lost to the Celtics, and that big loss to the Timberwolves, they had a big lead and they blew it to the T-Wolves.
What was it? A week or so ago, they played Utah Jazz, the team that's currently 8th, and the Jazz actually, they're winning until the end of the fourth quarter, when Klay Thompson made this 3 that sent it to overtime. That's not going to be an easy series for the Warriors.
No, it won't. The final in that game was 103-96. That's not a blowout. That's a close game.
Yeah.
And in overtime, as you said. That's a close game.
So, and about the Raptors, like I said, if they can avoid the Heat in the second round, then there's a very good chance they'll be in the conference finals.
Yeah. Be great to see, because they've never made it to the conference finals. It would be a beautiful thing to see as a Raptors fan. I want to see them go as far as they can go. If the Raptors can win an NBA championship this year, what a season. What a year for Toronto basketball. First ever All-Star game held in Toronto. First time the Raptors ever win an NBA championship.
Easy there.
I know. I'm jumping way ahead. I'm going way ahead of myself.
Don't hold up jinx there.
Knock on wood. Tap, tap, tap.
But isn't it crazy that the Raptors are currently 52-26? What the hell?
Fantastic. And it's something that, as a Raptor fan, it's something that we've been waiting for.
Usually we're like the Raptors are 26-52. Uh-oh.
Gone are the days of the Raptors struggling. And it's fantastic to see. It's just wonderful.
Great. 3 straight years in the playoffs, 3 straight division titles, and every single year they've improved their record.
Yeah, exactly. This is what you want. You want to get better and better every year. You add new pieces to the puzzle, and you hope that they make you better.
Speaking of new pieces, DeMar Carroll is back.
Like we were talking about earlier today before this, DeMarre Carroll's mysterious return. We don't really know much about his injury. It's all kind of like up in the air, and then he just comes back out of nowhere.
That was really suspicious circumstances. Because usually we'll get updates on a player's injury, how he's doing, blah, blah, blah. No one heard anything about his progress. And then out of the blue, he's back. There's 5 games left, he's back.
And it's like, whoa, what the heck happened? Like,
yeah, was it even an injury, or was he having personal problems? Or
Not sure. They didn't specify. But it'll be good to have DeMarre Carroll in the playoffs.
He won't play 25, 30 minutes. If we can get at least 15, 20 out of him in the playoffs, it would be solid.
Yeah, I'll be happy about that.
Maybe ease him in, the last 5 games of the season plus first round. If the Raptors make it to the second round, then he'd be huge against a player like Joe Johnson, who has crushed the Raptors in the playoffs a couple of years ago with the Nets.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. The postseason this year is going to be particularly interesting for the Raptors because they've got a lot to make up for. They've got these new pieces to their team that have done well over the course of the season. They're looking to make up for a terrible performance last year. Kyle Lowry has a lot to make up for. And I think
they owe it to the fans to put up a way better effort.
They really do. And last year, it's almost as though they had that first loss and it completely psyched them out. And they almost forgot who they were. And they didn't hustle. They didn't try. They were just so lackadaisical. It was so disheartening to see that.
And speaking of Lowry, there's Villanova Wildcats. They won the NCAA tournament.
Yes, Michael Jordan not too happy.
Yep. Oh, we only saw 1,000 crying Jordan memes.
Oh, yeah.
In the past week.
What a finish. The number 2 seed versus number 1 seed. The number 2 seed wins at Villanova on a buzzer beater.
Yeah, that's the most craziest NCAA finals I've ever seen.
Unbelievable. And the thing is, it wasn't as though Villanova was down. The game was tied. The game was guaranteed to go to overtime. But then, boom. 3 at the buzzer for the championship win. It's especially sweet when the stakes are that high. So just kudos to the Villanova Wildcats. As you said, Kyle Lowry is pretty happy.
Yeah, he was. You notice he was in the back of the Villanova bench with his white Villanova shirt and his black jacket, jumping around after that shot.
Right on. A proud alumnus. That's great to see.
Yeah. And who knows, that could very much motivate Larry in the next stretch of the season.
Yeah, you've got your collegiate basketball team wins the NCAA March Madness tournament, and hey, you want your pro team to win it all too. So I won't be surprised if that's a little extra motivation for Kalo.
Yeah, you're not actually winning it yourself, but your former squad, that's basically like you're winning a championship, you know?
Yeah, that little extra push to be much better than he was in the playoffs last year. So I think Lowry will step it up big time in the playoffs this season.
I think we'll for sure see a different Lowry.
Yeah, hungrier, meaner, just more willing, and it's going to be good. I'm excited to watch Raptors playoff basketball this year.
Indeed.
Now, one player that we won't be seeing in the postseason, one team that we won't be seeing in the postseason, one team that we won't be seeing in the playoffs for many years to come, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm talking about Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. Now, you are very adamant about talking about, as you called it, the fiasco known as the Los Angeles Lakers, a situation they're in. What are your thoughts on the LA Lakers? And we can maybe chat a little bit about Kobe. It is his final season, and he's about to put away his shoes for good.
First of all, I just want to question the Lakers management in why they would install a locker room that has Meta World Peace, Nick Young, Lou Williams, and a bunch of young players, and D'Angelo Russell, who obviously we now know is a very immature young kid. Let's just give it up for the management right there.
Just call out the flaws of the Los Angeles Lakers organization.
You have this really talented player named D'Angelo Russell, and you have him around these three immature clowns. I love Meta World Peace, but he's not the most mature guy. And Lou Williams, we all saw with him in the Raptors last year. He's kind of out there. And Nick Young, as we know, he's an idiot. But D'Angelo Russell, he doesn't get a free pass on this. You're not supposed to record one of your teammates talking about something personal. That's not cool.
No, you keep it within the locker room. It's a basketball family. You keep it within the family. Cohesiveness. You work as a unit. Maybe that's why Kobe's retiring. Maybe it's not the myriad of injuries. Maybe Kobe's just tired of this nonsense and wants to retire as a Laker. So he's like, hey, I might as well bail out now.
Some players are like they're very emotional after they retire. Kobe's probably just so relieved to just get out of that mess.
Yeah. Who do you think is with that immaturity on the Lakers? We saw, of course, Bleacher Report post. There's those videos, those animated videos. Kobe passing on the torch. Who do you think is the next great Laker? I can't think of anybody that's the next great Laker.
And here's the thing. No one's going to want to sign with them in the offseason. You think Durant's going to want to leave to go to the Lakers?
No, I think Durant...
That's not happening.
I think Kevin Durant would more so want to re-sign and stay with Russell Westbrook than go to the Los Angeles Lakers and really not play with any major stars.
There's even talk of DeMar DeRozan signing with the Lakers just because he has a Compton connection. No, that's not happening.
No, that's not how it should work. And just a side note, Masai Ujiri should not go to the New York Knicks. That's ridiculous. No one can fix that team. Not even Super Masai. I have no idea. It's just a silly rumor that doesn't make sense. Masai Ujiri, stay with Toronto until you retire from your basketball management career.
Phil Jackson, Masai Ujiri is not leaving a very ideal situation for him to go to your mess in New York. No, that's not happening.
And no one can fix. I don't even think Masai Ujiri can fix the situation in New York. The New York Knicks, it's going to take a lot to fix what's going on there.
They don't even have a lottery pick. Do you know why? Because Masai Ujiri is the one who traded freaking Andrea Bargnani for a Knicks lottery pick this year. So he's going to leave the Raptors and he's going to go to the Knicks where he screwed them out of a lottery pick this year. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Not happening.
Some franchises are just
a complete mess.
It's surprising to see classic franchises like the Knicks and Lakers in such a ridiculous mess.
Yeah, they're in such shambles. It's unfortunate, but it's a situation that we're in. The thing is, although they are classic teams, I'm not a fan of the Knicks, and I've never been a huge Lakers fan. When it comes to the whole Los Angeles Lakers Boston Celtics rivalry, I'm on Team Boston.
I've only just been a Kobe fan. I've never been pro Lakers.
Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of course, going way back. I'm a fan of Magic Johnson and of course Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy, and Kobe Bryant. I've never been a big fan of Kobe Bryant's, as you know this, but of course Kobe Bryant. I will admit, now that he is retiring, I will admit that he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But with that said, I'm not crying over Kobe Bryant retiring.
It will be sad for me, though.
I know you're a much bigger Kobe fan than I am, so I know it's a little bit more emotional to see one of your favorite players go. For me, I'm like, it's about time. That's how I look at it. It's about time.
You're more about our next topic, Allen Iverson.
Yes, the answer. The best little man in NBA history, the master of the crossover. Allen Iverson is my favorite basketball player of all time. He was my first inspiration when I started playing basketball. And Dirk Nowitzki was also part of that, but Iverson came first in my NBA and basketball fandom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allen Iverson going to the Basketball Hall of Fame. So Kobe Bryant destined to the Hall of Fame, but it's great to see the answer going to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And the class this year is really good. Got Iverson, Shaq, and Yao Ming. Those are the big three of this year's class. Cheryl Swoops is also in there, and Tom Izzo. Some really good names this year. But those big three, Yao, Shaq, and AI, awesome.
I'm looking forward to, well, obviously Shaq. He's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
The stories he'll probably tell. But I'm really looking forward to Iverson. It's going to be a very emotional. He's going to break down for sure.
When Iverson's jersey got retired, I had major goosebumps, and like I could feel the emotion when Allen Iverson had his jersey retired by the Philadelphia 76ers. Because Iverson is one of you can, I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, but I think Allen Iverson is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. In the history of the sport, he's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he's getting into the Hall of Fame, so he's
so of course he's got to be, but fair enough.
Yeah, he just brought up like a whole new generation of different kind of players, like Steph Curry. He's kind of like
he influenced so many of today's players, and Iverson kind of brought that cross culture of hip hop into the world of basketball, because like Iverson was really the first player. When you think basketball and you watch basketball mixtapes, like that world of hip hop and basketball, they usually fuse together so nicely, but you really didn't see that much before Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was like a cultural icon for the game of basketball. An incredible player and a former league MVP, multiple-time All-Star, but just what he did for the culture of basketball was huge, a huge influence on that.
And it's such a mess how his former Philadelphia 76ers are right now.
Ugh. Yeah. You know what, though? I still support the 76ers. They're still if I had to choose my three favorite teams, I'd go Raptors, number one, always. Philadelphia 76ers and Dallas Mavericks. I always like the Mavericks, especially the days of Nash, Nowitzki, and Michael Finley. And I like the 76ers, the days of Iverson, when Iverson played with Mutombo near the end of Dikembe's career.
You know what team I'm really looking forward to in their future? The T-Wolves. They're going to be something special.
Rubio, Levine, Wiggins, those are just three names. Towns, of course.
Who would I compare them to? They're sort of like, they could be a Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know. They're going to have such a great future. I'm looking forward to the T-Wolves the next 5-10 years.
Yep, same here. Very bright future for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hey, they did beat the Golden State Warriors a little while ago, so...
See you right there.
A sign of a bright future.
Oh, yeah.
A sign of an absolutely bright future for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Well, before we wrap things up, Nard Dogg, I kind of want to go into the world where we blend entertainment and media with basketball. And we haven't really touched on this that much, Full Court Press, if at all. But you're a Survivor fan. I'm a Survivor fan. Former NBA champion Scot Pollard rocking out on Survivor. What do you think of Scot Pollard so far on Survivor?
I didn't really realize that he was such a douchebag.
he has made some questionable decisions on the show. He has his ups and downs. It depends who he's aligned with. And he has shown a kind side to him, but he has shown a very negative side to him. And there have been episodes where I've just been shaking my head and I'm like, Scott.
A very negative side to him.
Very negative side. I'm like, Scott, come on. You're a former NBA champion. Act classy. And former NBA, like, sure. You know, you won a championship with the Boston Celtics, your final season in the NBA. But still, a former NBA champion. Act like a champion.
Do you think he goes further?
I think Scott has the chance to make it into the Final Five.
Yeah, because his alliance is pretty strong.
Yeah, I'm thinking, since we both watched Survivor, I don't know if anybody else is watching Survivor, but this is my top 5, my final 5 that I'm hoping for in Survivor. We've got Scot Pollard, Ty, Michelle, Julia, and Sydney. That's my top 5. That's the people I'm thinking I'm going to the final 5.
I'm liking Sydney. I think she can go all the way.
Yeah, I think she has a good chance, especially with the move that so she's been pulling off some good moves. I'm not sure if you've seen the most recent episode, so I don't want to spoil anything.
I watched yesterday.
Okay, excellent. So the move that she pulled off in the most recent episode, it was a big move, and that is a move that could gain her a lot of strong support and get her in a good position to win the game. So I don't think Scot Pollard's going to win Survivor, but it's pretty neat to see a former NBA player, someone that I used to play as in video games and used to watch when he played for the Kings. I used to watch Scot Pollard and then see him on Survivor. It's interesting. It's like when Cliff Robinson was on the show a few seasons ago. Uncle Cliffy. Uncle Cliffy. Well, Nard Dogg, if people want to chat Survivor or basketball, the Basketball Hall of Fame, anything with you, where can they do that? How can they find you?
You can find me on the Twitter at DavidBernardi7.
Marvelous. Well, if you want to chat with me, you can find me on Twitter as well at JustinGoulet21. Thanks again, as always, so much for joining us on another edition of Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet.
And I'm the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi.
Thanks so much for joining me, Nard Dogg. Make sure to check out the Facebook page and the YouTube page for past episodes of Full Court Press, and we will catch you next time.
Cheers.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops Goulet.